So for this video lecture, we are going to discuss briefly about tetracyclines. And these tetracyclines are also used as alternative, okay, for allergies to penicillins. Okay, and these solutions are used for the treatment of STD, CTI, upper respiratory tract infections, pneumonias, meningitis at certain levels, and this acts very effective against gram-negative or gram-positive bacteria, and they inhibit protein synthesis, so this will destroy or kill the bacteria. Okay, so there are either bacteriostatic or bactericidal, but mostly is bacteriostatic. Okay, and they are also uh, what's this? To be use avoided to be used for patients who are 8 years old and below, because they really affect the development of the teeth. There can be hypoplasia in this teeth development, and they usually develop permanent yellow or gray or brown staining uh, among children. Okay, so if it's liquid and it is usually going to be administered or be taken by children, it is advised that they use straw. Okay, they are advised to use straw. So tetracyclines examples are macrolides, clindamycin, and chloramphenicol. Okay, and I think it is also in our LMS the different examples of tetracyclines. You may refer to your LMS of the different examples of the um, drugs under tetracyclines. So these tetracyclines are absorbed by the GIT through the stomach and small intestines, so they are also well absorbed orally. Okay, and once absorbed, this is distributed widely into the bodies, I mean body tissues and fluids, and it can cross the placenta, it can cross the breast milk, it can cross even the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, so keeping that in mind, caution will be used on the use for pregnant clients and also lactating clients. Usual adverse effects are GI on the GI system are nausea, vomiting, even anorexia, abdominal cramps, even diarrhea. These are considered to be mild side effects, adverse effects, and there's no warrant to be discontinued. And the integumentary system, these are photosensitive. I mean, the drug, the patient who is taking the drug can develop photosensitivity. They can have sunburn, they can manifest sunburn. So they are advised to protect their skin against sunburn. So, and causes of photosensitivity. For example, they can use long-sleeved clothes, sunglasses, and other protective lotions, maybe. So drug interactions, um, caution is to be considered while taking these types of medications like warfarin. It enhances anticoagulant effects. Warfarin is a anticoagulant drug. So from the word anti, it prevents, it's against coagulation or clotting. So monitor the patient for signs of bleeding. Okay, impaired absorption with iron, calcium containing foods, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, and it decreases absorption of tetracyclines. So these elements, once present, maybe in drugs or food is advised to be hold at first or changed in the diet. If the patient is taking in the phenytoin or carbamazepine, it reduces the half-life of doxycycline, which is one of the tetracyclines. So it is advised also that this drug should not be mixed. Okay, the development. Okay, although it's not a drug interaction, as I mentioned earlier, do not administer to children younger than 8 years old because it can lead to permanent staining of the teeth. Okay, it's not only also it's not only by the use of straw, but it is advised that it should not be administered to children younger than 8 years old. For those who are lactating, since this is excreted out through breast milk, an alternative medication can be advised or to be can be instructed to them. Oral contraceptives again, it interferes with contraceptive activities, so you may also advise or you may instruct for an alternative, or as a nurse you may expect that the prescriber will order an alternative drug. So if I may continue, since macrolides was mentioned already, okay? So another classification of drug is macrolides, and these macrolides interfere with protein synthesis. Okay? They are good for respiratory, GID, skin soft tissue infections, also with STDs, when penicillin, cephalosporins, and tetracyclines are not available or contraindicated. Okay, so there are several classifications which you can choose as an alternative of a certain drug if it's not available. So macrolides, I think this is already in our LMS also, just to emphasize. I chose three of the most common ones. We have your erythromycin, azithromycin, and clarithromycin. So it's easy to remember, okay, because of the names, especially the suffix mycin. Okay? So erythromycin is first of the macrolides to be developed. They were considered to be alternatives to penicillins, and they are good against gram-positive bacteria and gram-negative bacteria, to include Corynebacterium diphtheriae, syphilis, chlamydial infections. Corynebacterium diphtheria is an infection uh, um, affecting the respiratory system. It's also one of the vaccine preventable diseases. Syphilis and chlamydia are STDs. Okay? Erythromycin is well absorbed in GIT or orally. It is in distribution, it crosses the placenta and breast milk. So again, caution for patients or clients who are pregnant and lactating, metabolized in the liver and excreted through feces by the GIT. Azithromycin is a strong one, a strong macrolide, and respiratory infections, urethritis, otitis media, pharyngitis, tonsillitis are usually the uses or the usual uses or indications, but they are less active against gram-positive bacteria. Again, they are also well absorbed by the GIT. Same, it crosses the placenta, and this time it is excreted through the urine. Okay. Clarithromycin is an expensive alternative. This is mentioned because, as we all know, medications are usually with price, and it's good also to consider the information about the prices, expenses, so patients can have alternatives. Okay, that's why here in our country, uh, there's what we call generics law, okay, or generics act of the Philippines. To summarize or in short, to make it simple, um, Once a prescriber orders a medication, the generic name of a drug should be written in the prescription or even the advertisements so that consumers, users like us, can have an alternative, especially in consideration with prices or expenses. Okay, so erythromycin is good for respiratory, skin, sinus infections, and also mycobacteria infections. And this is well absorbed by the GIT, meaning it's good um, for oral preparations. Likewise, it crosses placenta breast milk, metabolized in the liver, and excreted through the urine. Okay, so as you can see, all of them are absorbed orally, well absorbed orally, and they all cross the placenta and breast milk. Okay? These drugs inhibit the RNA or protein synthesis in susceptible bacteria, and they are considered both bacteriostatic and bactericidal. Okay? Among the three, erythromycin has a range of therapeutic use. Okay? It's considered to be a broad spectrum antibiotic or macrolide, and it has a wide range of scope. It's good against both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. Okay? And it's also the drug of choice for Mycoplasma pneumonia, a type of pneumonia. And azithromycin, on the other hand, is less effective to gram-positive, but it's good for gram-negative bacteria. Okay, especially gram-negative bacteria which are resistant to erythromycin. Okay, so if, excuse me, for a prescriber, or let's say um, erythromycin is not available, but the prescriber really wants to have a macrolide, you can have azithromycin as an alternative. Okay, clarithromycin also, but still you need to ask a professional about these alternatives, these changes of medications. Clarithromycin, on the other hand, is similar to erythromycin, but still it's more potent uh, comparing to erythromycin. Okay, so basically all of these three are really potent and really broad spectrum antibiotics. Okay, I have mentioned this one already, so just to make it a general one for the three, they are best absorbed orally, but they considered to be enteric coated, so they have a specific protection for them not to disintegrate from the mouth until the such time that you reach the duodenum. Okay, and they are really distributed widely, except in the CSF. As I mentioned, they are absorbed well. They are distributed in the placenta and breast milk. So caution again for these clients. Then metabolized in the liver and excreted usually on both feces and urine. Just to specify, they can be treated through feces in high concentration and low concentration on urine. Okay? Also with breast milk. Okay? Adverse effects, these are considerably gastric irritant medications. They can cause diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, even abnormal taste. And these are only mild side effects, mild adverse effects. This does not warrant you to discontinue the drug. For systemic cases, you can feel feverish, rashes, and anaphylactic reactions. If you really have severe allergies on these types of medications, it's best advised to inform your prescriber if you're aware with the medication. In more severe forms, severe diarrhea, of course, because they can lead to dehydration, blood or mucus in stool. Instruct the client not to treat themselves. Of course, do not self-medicate, especially in this time of digital information, they resort to Google. It's still better to ask to consult a professional, a healthcare professional. Okay? Especially with these types of medications, generally on antibiotics or anti-infectives. It's not really advisable to self-medicate. Okay? Then vascular systems, one of the notified adverse effects is thrombophlebitis, inflammation of your veins that can also lead to formation of thrombus, which is very dangerous because thrombus is a clot that can happen anywhere in the body, and it can lead to embolus, which is a clot that circulates. Okay, but these medications are, I mean, these adverse effects are usually less common. Okay, these are less common. And just to add information, azithromycin, Mondetree should be taken 1 hour before and 2 hours after meals. They are usually best absorbed on almost empty stomach. And in the case of clarithromycin, this may be given without regards to meals. Okay, so it can be with meals or without meals. Okay, but usually, what we advise our patients are to take them with meals because, they are gastric irritants. Okay, so drug interactions. Um, these are to be not mix or assist, do not mix macrolides with these medications. Okay, or contraceptives, rifampicin, and most especially pimozide. As I have read in one of my references, this can lead to death, or if not death, maybe multiple organ damages or failure. Then with food and oral contraceptives, they interfere. With contraceptives, the effectivity again is interfered by macrolides, so it's better to have an alternative if the couple, especially let's say the woman, because they're the ones having oral contraceptives, um, should have changed antibiotics. Okay? Food decreases absorption of oral macrolides. They should generally, as I've mentioned earlier, be taken empty, okay? Just with water, okay? Just with water. But because of empty stomach administration, the patient should have or may be informed with its adverse effects, which is diarrhea. Okay? So I think that's all for a brief discussion of macrolides. Next, we are going to discuss later is quinolones. So for this video lecture, we have discussed about tetracyclines and macrolides. So thank you and see you in the next video lecture.